going to go over a parts list with you here. We'll just start with the Titan. This is a big radiator. There are smaller ones, but this one I wanted just max airflow, so when you get the GPU cranked up, this thing will be cooling like crazy. Not just the radiator, but also evacuating the heat from the case. Like I said, it installed very easy. Didn't have any issues with it. It runs on the iCUE Link, so that's the new system. So you need to be aware of that. For this, I ran that iCUE Link from this side all the way through to that side and down to this fan right here. All right. And that made it nice and clean. Okay. I said there you have the iCUE Link, and I used that one back here, and just the cord just runs right straight through here. It's very nice, just plugs right in. Okay. So, now that would be as opposed to just these RGB Elite fans, which are just iCUE. That would be more like this right here. And those have the old style cord connectors, I guess you could say. Not nearly as advanced. All right. I did use Samsung 9100 Pro. I used two 4 terabyte cards, one in the first slot and one in the third slot. That keeps my basically my raceways open, or lanes open for the GPU when it's under full stress. And if I add another one, it won't take as much. Basically, it won't take as much of the lane as if I use two. So just check your lanes when you're going, when you're putting these together. They usually have a chart that says, if you have memory here, or if you have your system memory here, and in number two, and you put in two GPUs, then it'll say it'll block one, it'll slow one down. So my setup is set up for future and for maximum flow. So far, these 9100 Pros have been great. This Art Pro came with its own heat sink, so I did not get the other heat sink, the ones that have heat sink on them. And there's a sticker on top of here that you just leave on. I had to research it to see if you actually left it on, but there's a sticker on top, and yeah, you just leave it on and just put those things right in place. They just snap right in. All right. And of course your memory here. And just these are just, they basically just snapped right in. Now with this Pro Art board here, it does have ECC, so I wanted to maintain that, so that when I'm basically running it at a high capacity for the GPU, that it throws in that extra check in there. Now there's been some people that have had problems with the Pro Art ECC, and it says that it has it, but then they go to check it, it hasn't. But when I checked it on mine, it was running, and so I didn't. It must be I must have an updated BIOS or something from when they did theirs. So I would assume that the new ones would have a new BIOS that would also allow that ECC to take place. Because when you're training this thing and it's running full tilt, you want that extra check, so you don't get your wires crossed, so to speak. But yeah, those things just snapped right in, no problem. And same with the memory, they just snapped right in. Basically, check your GPU and what cable it costs, because it will come with an adapter for your power supply cables, but you're mixing and matching, and you're putting connection at the midpoint of something that's going to get used a lot. And these are just cable, you know, what does it say? Cable mod. And it just came real quick from Amazon, and it has been working flawlessly. Let's see here. The Supernova 1600 T2 is probably a little bit of an overkill, but when you're talking power, you know, that's basically the heart. So let's get some clean power and something that can withstand some sustained heat, and still throw out a good sine wave. Let's see here. The ProArt board that I have here is a ProArt X870E creator with a Wi-Fi. It has worked really good with an AMD. I love the AMD. It went in very easy, much easier, like I said, than an Intel. You don't have the little prongs on it. It just kind of it just sits in there, and you just snap it right in, and you're done. You're like, oh, that was easy. You're gonna fret a little bit longer than it's gonna take you to actually do the work. Let's see here. So this comes pre-pasted, so you don't have to add any additional paste on the back. You know, for the connection between the CPU and the cooler. So you just basically put it right on there and screw it right in. Do set it up a little bit first, so you make sure you have the right bracket, because this bracket was set up a little differently for the AMD. So just make sure that your bracket fits first before you just go to put it right on. And let's see here. Aside from that, there was just little things, like I said, like the USB hub, and that has functioned great. There was a little bit of a problem. I only can use 2 inputs up here, just for the way it laid out, as far as for like a USB stick. And this does have a USB-C on it, but you know, you're rarely going to be using 4 USB sticks at a time, so two is good enough. So that's basically it. Like I said, it went together very easy. Just double check your connections down here to make sure that they're all in the right little pins, because those are just little pins down there. One of the things you need to remember if you're doing something for the first time and you're looking at it going, oh my goodness, just take it one step at a time. You know, just get your board out, and then just take it one step at a time. You know, put in your CPU, put in your memory sticks, put in your solid state drives, and just and then get it in place, and then just start plugging things one at a time. You know, you can start easy, or you can start with this big boy right here, which is the biggest one, and it takes a lot of kind of coaxing to get into place. As you can see, it doesn't bend real easy, but you can start with that, and then get into smaller wires, and just take your time. And if you just go one step at a time, you'll be fine. Like I said, the GPU that sits in here is pretty massive, and it needs a little, basically jack to sit in there. So you're not going to be moving this thing a lot once you're done, unless you take your GPU out, which is what I've done here, so that I can transport it. So there you have it. It's kind of just AI by the numbers, and if you enjoy working with computers, I think that you'll really enjoy building something like this, because it's completely doable, and you'll get a new understanding for AI and its capabilities, because you'll get it up and running, and you'll find some very interesting things, that how it works and how it talks, and the things you can actually do with it as far as connecting it to databases and so forth. I will say that when I started the Linux up, this board has worked great, with the exception of the Wi-Fi, which worked. The Wi-Fi worked great when I was under Microsoft setting up the fan speeds and curves. But once I turned it on for the Wi-Fi on for the Linux, it was incompatible, and it would not go. So I just bought basically a USB Wi-Fi that was like $30. That was compatible with Linux, and it just plugged right in and started right up. So that was really the only thing that was a little bit of an issue. And there you have it. Have fun.